Love him or loathe him, Max Verstappen gets people talking. But that's a bit ironic in a sense because he's not been doing much talking in the media. Now, this is nothing new, but he's been keeping it up for quite some time now. And honestly, I don't really blame him. That's his choice. If he doesn't want to speak to people that much in the media and in the press, I don't blame him. You know, he does his talking on the track, as it were. But this attitude, as some people are labelling it, is not rubbing up everybody the right way. They want him to be a bit more open about stuff. But let's have a look at this, guys, on the F1Chronicle.com, because at the end of the day, he's his own person and he has his rights to his privacy. I got no problem with that, but not everybody shares that viewpoint, and I'll explain why here on the channel. So Max Verstappen giggled to the Dutch media as he explained his ongoing reluctance to answer questions at the FIA's official press conferences. For example, as the governing body finally published the stewards' guidelines for imposing penalties, the four-time world champion was asked if he thinks Formula One is increasingly over-regulated. He said, and I quote, "I'm not going to comment. I cannot risk a penalty point." Now, of course, for you guys who are not aware, basically the regulations around free speech or lack thereof with the FIA and official press conferences like that is that if you say something that is damaging to the FIA's property, i.e. the FIA itself, and also Formula One as well on top of that, then you could well get a penalty. You can get race bans, you can get time penalties, penalty points on your licenses, and of course, Max Verstappen is 1 point away from a ban, so he's got to be really careful. Later, when he gathered for the Dutch-speaking written media, he openly admitted that he doesn't say much in the FIA's official settings. It's easy, said Verstappen, because you don't always have to give an answer to everything, right? Even if you have an opinion about it. As for adding his comments to the post-race Red Bull protest of Canada, or the FIA's driving standards or governance, he insisted, "There's not much to really say about it because I always do the same thing every weekend. I'm not allowed to be critical in the press conferences because then it will be written, Max says this or Max says that, then they object to that. Look, they can interpret everything as I say as critical, and that's very clearly against the regulations, so I'd rather not say anything," said the 27-year-old. And in all honesty, I think that's a very fair viewpoint from him in that situation. You know, I don't have any problems with that. There's some people who want to hear more from him and stuff like that, but I don't have an issue with that. I thought it was quite funny actually in one of the FIA press conferences, Tom Clarkson asked about Verstappen winning around Austria 4 times, when technically he's won around the Red Bull Ring 5 times. One of them came during the Styrian Grand Prix though, so that was quite a funny interaction between those two, because I think they were both technically correct. Verstappen has won around there 5 times, but he's only won the Austrian Grand Prix 4 times. Only, in inverted commas. He's still the most successful driver in the history of the Austrian Grand Prix. But you get my point there. But yeah, I mean, I got no problem with it. I don't have an issue with him not answering all questions and stuff like that. That's his right. If he doesn't want to comment on something, then he doesn't have to. And especially when there are clear repercussions in the regulations, because as some people may say, as probably Max Verstappen believes, and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm not saying it's not the case either, I'm reserving my right to not comment on that, but I think the fact is that he would be very much of the opinion is of that, you know, the FIA is out to get him. And I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that he probably believes that, and he probably thinks if he says something critical about the FIA, he'll get a penalty point on his licence and he'll get a race ban. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm reserving my right to not comment on that, but I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Is Max right? Is he wise to not comment on certain questions, especially in that FIA official setting, especially after what happened last season, obviously? Community service, man had to don the orange jumpsuit, borrow an orange shirt from one of his fans, and go out and do some community service over in Rwanda as a result. Incredible stuff, really, but you know, that's what happened. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more like this, guys. Have a fantastic day wherever you're in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.